wanted to wear clothes that say I'm a gay little shithead who's a little too obsessed with movies? Shop the Film Critters Spring-Summer 2024 collection exclusively on Bonfire.
I see you're doing a new look today. What's like a clown sort of getup, like a legally distinct clown sort of getup, though.
Yeah, when I think of life is nothing but joking. And so I'm the joking woman.
So would you say that your life, because when you've come in here before, I feel like you used to say, your life was sort of like a tragic comedy.
Yeah, my life is I used to think that my life is a sad movie, but now I think that life is like a funny movie, a movie that is funny.
Kind of like a Noah Baumbach situation.
Pretty much, even though I don't know who that is. I know about, Clown knows Baumbach. I went to clown college with him.
Kind of a Woody Allen situation then. But before the unpleasantness. Without the the daughter thing.
Without the daughter thing, that whole business, that whatever. Speaking of life being a funny movie, what really set me down this path was a little film called The Peebles Joker.
Oh, you're talking about the Todd Field movie from 2019.
No, silly.
What? Was there another Joker movie besides I guess the Suicide Squad remake?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
came out? That was also some unpleasantness.
Yeah, I came in today to talk to you about the People's Joker. It's not the corporation's Joker. It's not this usual hacky hokey fucking ooky spooky corporate Joker that we keep getting from, Jared Leto and Heath Ledger and Barry Keoghan. This is the Joker of the people, for the people, and by the people.
Oh, so it's like Joker for her.
It's really Joke her.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day.
And it's interesting. Like it's the the people's Joker. What should I do if I can't easily access this film through legal screening means?
That's such a good question, Jay Bearhat. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I really don't. It's this movie has had quite a fight to get in front of people's eyes. It's been an enormous sort of rights battle. DC does not seem to be very happy with it. This is really a movie that practically was made and finished in 2021. But here we are 3 years later.
It really was like a quarantine project, actually, from what I kind of gather.
But because of its lack of affiliation with DC and because of its, sort of parodical nature, it's been in a kind of limbo until very, very recently.
It really is the people's disaster movie.
Yeah.
Or the people's epic movie.
Right, yeah. Now, to start off, we have to be ethical about this and say that I know some people who did some work for the People's Joker. I am, let's say, Twitter mutuals with Alec Robbins and Michael DeForge, and maybe some other people who contributed some things here and there.
There's a lot of people. I found out one of the people I get drinks with at a local bar was going to do a song for it, and the only reason it didn't was just that, like, she didn't have time to get it together for, like, the release. But that, like, I think if I remember, she said, like, one of her partners did music for. There's a lot of Leonardo DiCaprio pointing in this film, let's say. If you see this film in Chicago, Seattle, Los Angeles, probably New York, there's gonna be like 3 to 4 people in the crowd at some point who are gonna like nudge the person next to them and go like, "Oh my god, like that's like Zoe worked on that, bro, that's Eve, that's Eve's work."
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Valerie.
Oh my god, dude, that was Tide Pod in the background. That was Tide Pod.
Yo, that was my old roommate Sock.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like hyper local, hyper specific sort of trans art contributing to this. Which really brings me to my first kind of like thing of note about the film, that it's like hyper multimedia in a way that's like so fucking exciting to me.
I would say that is probably the thing I enjoy the most about the film, and what I hope people take the most from the film.
Yeah,
is that a movie can be whatever the fuck you want it to be.
Seriously.
Do you have an action scene that you have no fucking possible way to film? Just use action figures.
Use action figures.
Is there a sex scene where you're playing a character who's like a pre-transition autofiction version of you, and you absolutely are not gonna pass as pre-transition for that scene? Just make it a cartoon.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
It's a movie.
Seriously, like, the level of craft and just, like, joy that's present here is, like, I just don't have any complaints about it. It's just pure fun. And it kind of, it's definitely in conversation with queer cinema history, because, like, we have all of these directors who, you know, have done works that, like, feel this level of ADHD, I guess. Obviously there's Funeral Parade of Roses, a trans cinema classic. Obviously there's
Gregoraki.
There's Gregoraki, there's Todd Haynes, you know, with the kind of like superstar kind of action figure stuff. And all sorts of animation too present here. Just like, yeah, a huge amount of contributions by a huge amount of artists that adds up to a really exciting and fun whole.
There's one other film I would also put this in, Terminal USA. By, because I can never remember the director, John Mortsugu.
Okay.
Also absolutely would put that in conversation with this, where it's a very goofy film that jumps around a lot and kind of uses the most of its very limited budget.
Right.
And is more interested in the sort of impression of what it's doing, rather than necessarily the realistic portrayal of what it's doing.
Yeah, I think that's such a fun way to go about filmmaking. Like,
yeah, just
have some fucking fun with it. Like, you know, go completely crazy and make it look like absolutely nothing else, you know, that exists. And I do see the success of this movie in that regard.
I was talking to some other people too, where it's like, I like it because it brings that sensibility from like the sort of far reaches of like edgelord, like no budget cinema.
Right.
Like we did Tartarus for one of our episodes. There's also this director Damon Packard, where it's like very like weirdo cinema. That's maybe a bit more hostile to your average viewer.
Ryan
And
Tricardon.
not saying, Ryan Tricardon. Oh, Ryan Tricardon. Actually, yeah, this is definitely in conversation with Ryan Tricardon, another queer cinema filmmaker. The other two I mentioned, I don't actually. David Wascavage might be gay. His stuff feels feels.
Yeah, no, thinking about Tartarus is queer cinema. Let's just...
Yeah, I just, it's like, I don't think that I thought about that movie, and I was like, that was just a grown man being really, like, not sexually tortured, but, like...
I mean, when we think about the metaphor of alien abduction and stuff,
yeah,
like, and the fact that there's like a half-naked man in his garage being tormented
and set loose to be hunted down and tormented again.
Yeah,
no, I think that's queer cinema. So yeah, really just did a good line of just like gay people doing fucking whatever to make it work.
Yeah. It's really honestly inspiring, and at the same time to kind of witness the rough trod path that it's been on in terms of distribution is like the real life aspect is a little demoralizing, but then like once you actually get to the meat of like what the art of it is, like I don't know, it's really exciting. It's exciting to see and to witness, and it's actually quite a funny movie. Crazy.
Yeah. It got some laughs out of me. I'll admit it.
Yeah. I mean,
I chuckled.
I bear a small amount of concern for what happens when it escapes its own context, because like it really is, I don't want to call it inside baseball. It's really not that. In fact, I thought that it presented like the inside baseball of the comedy world in a more interesting way than the trans world. And once you're outside of that context, like I don't know. I don't think it's trying to be a universal trans experience narrative, even though it does have the line, "Mom, was I born in the wrong body?" Which I think was a weak line, you know?
There's well, we can get to some of the weaker aspects. I think enough time has passed that we don't have to do it's really important thing where we just kind of gloss over critiques of the film. I think we can. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
But it is an important. I think the thing that's interesting about that, though, if once it escapes containment, is that kind of what makes it so cool is the fact that it escaped containment.
That's true. That's a very good way of looking at it.
Like, I feel like the closest comparison in terms of like big quarantine era project with a lot of queer and artistic people involved that was kind of like passed around and shown to people were the Akira redub.
Oh yeah, that was so fun.
Where it's like, that's really fun, and like that's like a fun thing to like show people, and it's a fun thing to talk about, and like a way to kind of get people's like gears turning about like what you can do. But I think what makes People's Joker so exciting is the fact that, you then have like Tim Heidecker involved in this. Like it's the fact that it's kind of outgrowing its weight class that normally, that like even 5 years ago, I feel like a project like this, you'd only see it if it came to a museum in your hometown.
Yeah.
Or if the director like put it up on Vimeo.
Yeah, seriously. Like it's a amazing groundswell for what it is, and I just think that people we're so far past the point of being sick of A, superhero slop, B, corporate overreach, that it's striking a really nice, really perfect moment here, I think.
It really is striking at the right time. Also, like the inundation of the Joker as like an image, as like a figure, as like a representation.
Yeah.
With the actual original 2019 Joker, there's this like really interesting phenomenon of outside the US, Joker, like that specific Joker iconography gets used in protests a lot.
That's crazy.
Because it's completely divorced for them outside of like the Joker like in like a Western American context where you associate it with like comedians or like the gangweed meme pages, like Americans associate the Joker with like the memes that are like do you know what it's like to live like 25 years without a foot job? Or like incel, or like you know, we associate it with like the incel FBI scare shit that was like surrounding this film. And that context just doesn't seem to really exist elsewhere. I assume that specific type of embodied masculine outrage just doesn't exist there. So the film kind of is just taken as what it is, which is, you know, like a second, third rate Schrader.
Yep.
And so I feel like People's Joker is like a weird way of like recuperating this image further in line with the way it's taken more internationally than it is, ironically, in the country that it's taken from.
That's fascinating, and it's also kind of a statement that, at least to me, I metabolized and digested as, like, we're so inundated with this iconography, why are we not allowed to play with it?
Yeah.
It feels wrong that we're not allowed to, like, the level of overreach that, you know, makes it so that we can't, like, remix a concept or kind of play around with a trademarked idea until, you know, 100 years from now or whatever. Like, there's a sort of inequality happening there. There's a sort of feeling that, like, corporations are treated not just as people, but as, like, above people.
Well, it's the whole thing too with like Marvel specifically. They want their superheroes to be the modern folklore and the modern myths, but the thing about folklore and myths is that shit was just made up by some guys.
Yeah. It's
like Don Quixote, one of the most like legendary, one of the most legendary, but like a massive, you know, important piece of literature, was like a parody. Like it was a fucking parody novel.
Right. Yeah, I mean, real life folklore is so much more organic and kind of changing and really interesting. Like trademarking is such a colonial concept to me. It's really absurd, and I do really, really appreciate People's Joker as a protest piece of art.
Well, and I think it makes sense too when you consider like copyright in that way. Of course, has to exist because, you know, in ye old times, you hear a song, you really like it, you learn to play it, and you and your friends play the song.
Yeah.
But with the creation of, like, industrialization, where it's like, you can own the song in, like, a physical medium, it's like, well, now you gotta pay for it.
Yeah.
You can't just sing Happy Birthday.
Are restaurants still getting sued for singing Happy Birthday? Was that a thing that ever happened, or was that a
I don't know if that... No, I mean, that was why restaurants would do the, like, Happy Birthday from all of us to you.
Yeah.
Like, that's why, like... I don't know if they actually would have, but it definitely was, like, kind of like ironically, its own folklore that, like, because Happy Birthday was copyrighted, that's why in media you would never see anyone just sing Happy Birthday.
So funny. What a weird fucking country.
Which is, like, itself, like, another great example of, like, why do we not own the rights to these things that are in our culture and media?
Yeah.
What asshole needs to get $5 for Jerry Maguire to sing Happy Birthday in some bullshit movie?
Yeah. There's some kind of weird commentary on kids who get prescribed medications that felt almost a little extra, but I don't know. I don't know how you felt about that.
So I get it in that there is definitely, especially with the Dr. Crane facility that they get sent to, there is a specific history, for air quotes history, commonality, especially with, if I had to take a guess, New England kids, where queer kids kind of get shuffled. It's like how when they got homosexuality out of the DSM, so then but because you could still like try to desist trans kids, people would sometimes just like try to shuffle their little gay boy kid under there, being like, no, he's not gay. He's got the dysphoria thing. Fix it. because he's acting like a little Nancy boy. Where it's the sort of thing of like, oh, my kid's acting weird. They must have a disorder.
Right.
And it can't be that they're like gay or trans or experiencing like something that is producing these things. No, there just must be something wrong with them.
Yeah.
And so I've definitely known a lot of kids or a lot of like gay and trans people who had that experience of like, as a kid, kind of being shuffled into being either like medicalized or like sent to like some sort of like remedial reform school that was like ostensibly for mental illness or for like a behavioral disorder,
right?
But really was just, oh, my kid's acting like a little queer, and I want them to stop.
I mean, we were both in speech class as a kid. That's
yeah, we've talked about that, the speech class thing that we both went through for having our little faggy little lisps.
Sorry about my faggy little lisp. I've just got to talk like Daffy Duck. Yeah,
but that's what I interpreted that as. Was kind of interesting that out of the sort of metaphor of the film where it's like inverting the villains into just like these weirdo underground people, that Crane retains the villain antagonist status.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess there's not really like many protagonists that you could have cast in that role as the evil doctor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, the movie, I don't know if the movie's necessarily that serious about it either, to be fair.
No, I mean, that's true. Yeah, I that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I do like picking it apart, but it's also, I don't know, when you watch the film and like kind of grok with the tone, it's not that serious. Although I do think David Liebehart as Ra's al Ghul gives a really good dramatic performance,
which is insane.
It's crazy.
It's such a thing where I'm just like, did Vera Drew just like know that David Liebehart is like actually like a pretty good actor? Like, was she just like, yo, like was that kind of like a stunt casting that just worked out really well, or was it just like, nah, David's actually like really good, like he's actually like really perfect for this role, for this like Yoda kind of figure.
It's fascinating, and it's nice to watch him like chew on the role. I mean, the movie has all sorts of things to say about comedy and like what is and isn't funny, and how comedy is utilized. And all of that stuff I thought was like just such a strong backbone to the film, because it is very deeply personal, like in a way that I kind of wasn't expecting when I first watched it. There's a lot of like mom trauma stuff, but then there's also a lot of like personal comedy experience stuff that Vera Drew seemed to kind of go through, in terms of like the sort of SNL pipeline of career comedians.
Yeah, which is interesting because I know Sarah Squirm was in it initially, and got recast, I assume related to the SNL thing.
Yeah.
Given that they are one of the pipeline comedians types.
Yeah. I mean, another standout performance was Maria Bamford as Lorne Michaels, by the way.
It's insane casting decision. So funny.
Sincerely, also, the funniest thing.
Also, I will say, really big fan of the decision to like make most of the, for lack of a way to put it, stunt casting, to just make it voice acting.
Yeah, Tim Heidecker as the Alex Jones guy.
Yeah, great performance, but it's like, you know, it's a character on a TV screen. Very easily could have just recorded Tim Heidecker doing it, but like I kind of like the decision of like, I don't want it to be too much of like people pointing at the screen and going, "There's Tim Heidecker," or like pointing at the screen going, "There's Marie Bamford." So like all of these like bigger voice casting things are kind of abstracted in by like the character they're playing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, like we said, it's Alec Robbins' shocking performance as Mr. Boop, which is hyper referential.
Yeah, extremely huge obvious meta joke with it too.
This is not a timeless film.
Yeah, no, that is a thing that I do wonder is like, is this film gonna be like the Airplane series, where like in like a decade when people don't have a lot of this referential stuff, it's gonna kind of stand as its own thing and people aren't gonna realize that there's a lot of jokes that are specifically referential because they just come off like absurd jokes?
Yeah.
Or is it gonna be like I don't know, the Hot Shots movies, where it's like, is this funny if you don't know what it's parodying?
God. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I don't know, there's plenty to chew on in the film either way, so it's kind of, I'm not too worried. It's very funny. And you know, there's just a lot of weird textural things to notice. Like, on my second time, I definitely noticed that they had the, like, Kirby's Paint and Tile Plus in Westgate, like that cell phone thing from Jurassic Park 3 in the movie for some fucking reason. Maybe Vera Drew is like me and was briefly obsessed with Jurassic Park 3 as a child, who can say?
So I saw you mention that, and I went and looked it up because I was like, I've never heard of this. And it was like finding just endless forum posts about the Jurassic Park 3 ringtone. And I was like, okay, so this was like a weird, unique brainworm for some people.
Yeah, like, it was such a realistic, like, commercial jingle that it really stuck around. There's a short 2 seconds of a, like, MIDI cover of Let's Hear It for the Boy in the movie, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, yeah. Weird, very bizarre cover that plays, like, just, like, absolutely the quintessential, like, how long can I legally play this before I'd have to pay for it?
And I also loved the posters of David Liebehart as Foreign Man.
Oh yeah, the Borat parody. I forgot about that.
The parody of Borat. It was so fucking funny.
Also, the recurring Suicide Cop bit.
Suicide Cop is so funny. Oh my god. Yeah, so that recurring bit was just spectacular. Yeah, and there's plenty of really good performances. I really loved the Mr. J character, the, like, abusive first trans mask boyfriend character.
Yeah, no, he's good. I do like this gets a little bit, it's like kind of one of my bigger critiques of the film, which is that there are times where the parody aspect and the, like, autofiction part, like, are kind of, like, on different levels of film, and I don't really feel like they gel correctly. Because that part is extremely realistic to having dated, if you've ever dated a abusive trans mask.
Yeah.
Especially as, like, a eggy, or, like, in the middle of, like, early transition, some degree of being, like, you haven't quite really figured out your place within queerness or within identity, but somebody who's been around for a lot longer kind of picks up on that, and so can sort of position you as dependent on them, but also like, oh, but you're the one who can be violent to me.
Yeah,
because I'm the most wounded one. Which I, again, did not expect to see, like, a really, really candid depiction of a specific type of, like, male manipulator behavior. I just kind of also wished it felt more informed by, like, the actual fucked up dynamic between Harlequin and Joker.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. I mean, it's, you know, it's having its cake and eating it too, where, like, it's not serious, but it is serious, but it's not serious, but it is serious. In a way that kind of almost feels strange, I guess. I mean, it was a fun wink nod thing to have the Jason Todd Robin.
Yeah, be the Suicide Squad Joker.
Yeah. And also like a trans guy. Like that stuff's good, but there's just not a lot of breathing room here in the movie, generally speaking. I mean, good God, the movie ends on like a puppet musical sequence. Like,
yeah,
there's 1,000 different animated sequences by 1,000 different animators. Like, it's you know, it's everything. It's so everything everywhere all at once in that respect.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, and that's kind of like why I said, like, it's a complicated thing where it's like the film exists on kind of two levels of both what it is and like why that's important and why that's interesting and how like many of those things like really, really strike a specific moment in time that I think is really cool and excited about. But also kind of one of those like, I really hope this inspires people to like take it further and not just like that people just kind of hold this as like, well, this is the gold standard.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see something that's more well balanced and not the same.
Yeah, like that's kind of that's been like a little bit of my worry with the way people talk about this film is so like, oh, like I feel like if you're the thing you're taking away from the film is like, wow, this is such a unique once in a lifetime kind of thing. I think that kind of defeats the whole purpose of the film, which is that like, actually you can just do this. Like, actually there's no reason that you can't just steal a copyrighted character.
There's no reason you can't steal a copyrighted character. There's no reason you can't, make a movie with your friends. There's no reason you can't make cardboard painted, acrylic painted sets and have that take you basically anywhere you want to go. And
there's no reason you can't ask the audience to do a little bit of the work in like, closing the gap between the image you can put on screen and what it's obviously supposed to be like read as.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think the movie, for as kind of handholdy and look at the camera as it is, because there's plenty of sequences of Farrah Drew ostensibly monologuing.
I was gonna say, literally looking at the camera.
Literally telling you, I was this, and I was going through this, and this was happening. I mean, yeah, I would love to see something, more gestural come next. Something more... I mean, more personal, too. Because this one, it kind of reminds me of why we started Film Critters, in a sense. Where it's like, okay, the motivating factor behind it all is that it's a bit.
Yeah.
that Film Critters is a funny pun. And it's patently kind of absurd that we act like we know things about movies, but we also really do, and we do care, and we do like somewhere along the line the irony disappears.
Yeah. No, somewhere along the line it was the pitch of like, what if we did a thing that was like trying to recreate what talking about movies after you see them in the theater with your friends is like.
Yeah, that's the ultimate ideal. So, like, something that starts as a bit becomes very serious. And hopefully Vera Drew's next thing isn't a bit, and is just, like, good and funny. And I have no reason to expect that it wouldn't be.
I mean, even if it is a bit, like, a comedy. Like Vera Drew, she's very clearly, like, informed by a lot of time in the comedy world. There's nothing really stopping her from doing a kind of stress positions, which is another film part of this trans moment that I saw that I really liked. Yeah. That is just it's a comedy. It's a comedy with a lot of dramatic weight in it. There's a lot of really cool like stuff it says in it, and if we can get Brew a copy of it, maybe you'll hear more about that soon.
Someone give me a ticket to stress positions, please. I need it.
But also, you know, it's a comedy. There's no reason you can't just do, like, a comedy about gay and trans people.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what Little Teeth is. God damn it.
Yeah.
I liked how Batman was implicated as, like, this problematic cis, like, DL guy who's enormously, like, more abusive than Mr. J.
Also a pederast.
Yeah.
They kind of explicitly repeat that, like, yeah, it's like he goes after, like, underage, freshly out boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, and speaking of the Batman pedophile thing,
Uh-huh.
that was actually a choice I did really appreciate, is that the fuckboy Joker, like, actually is kind of more traumatized than the Joker to Harlequin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or what's her name? Is it Joker the Harlequin or Jokeman the Harlequin?
I think it's Joker the Harlequin.
Joker the Harlequin. Okay. Because it's like, that's like just one of those small details that, like, really hits about how accurate it is that, like, he could kind of leverage this, like, oh, well, I went through this as, like, a way to be like, oh, well, okay, I guess my thing isn't a big deal then. Like, yeah. That's so real. Like, that's such a, like, real detail, is this idea of, like, oh, well, your trauma actually doesn't matter because, like, mine was worse.
Yeah. Yeah, that stuff is tough. That's, like... But, I mean, like, he's not wrong. But also...
His was worse? Yeah, but also, like...
You can't really... That doesn't...
That's not how a relationship works. It's not rock, paper, scissors.
It's not the fucking Olympics.
Yeah.
The Olympics. Yeah. On the other side of that coin, what did you think of the supportive cis male cargo shorts penguin character?
Oh, also super accurate. Probably the line that got the biggest laugh out of me was the weird extended bit he does. He's like, it's a shame you didn't, like, get on the show and then realize you were trans and then blow it up from the inside. You know, the first Harlequin to be on, like, the main cast. And it's just like, was that transphobic? And then just going, I wasn't listening.
Real.
So fucking funny. Just, like, him doing this bit and then being like saying something that actually isn't offensive, but, like, immediately being like, oh, you're not reacting. Did I say something offensive? And it's just like, oh no, I just wasn't listening. I'm sorry.
I think the only thing that would have made that portrayal more accurate is if they started hooking up.
Oh yeah. No. That should have happened.
Yeah. Oh well.
That should have happened once, and then he's just like, let's never talk about this again. This is weird. Let's never talk about that again. This is weird, not because of the trans thing, but because of the friends thing. This is friend weird.
Exactly.
But you know he's great.
What, with the dick?
Yeah. Oh no, you know he's hanging.
Oh, he's hanging.
He's hanging.
His dick is hanging like that prosthetic nose.
He has to get the extra wide cargo shorts, if you know what I'm saying.
With the cargo space.
Yeah.
He's storing something.
He's a little familiar with the tuck maneuver, if you know what I'm saying.
That's solidarity.
No, I loved that character. I thought that was a great bit, great portrayal. Like that, even though he's into comedy at the end, he's like, yeah, you dated a comedian. What the fuck? Like, what the fuck were you thinking was gonna happen?
Yeah, never date a comedian. I really loved Vera Drew's rules for life. I think they're so accurate. Just, especially never date a comedian. You can date people who are funny, though.
I think I could date a comedian and be fine. I'm different.
Okay, you're different, huh?
I'm different. I could date a comedian and survive.
Bitch, you are the comedian.
Yeah. That doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
I've never been on stage.
That's so...
I'm more like an internet clown. I think that's the thing about the film that oddly enough might fuck way to put it, age the worst. I can't see stand-up comedy being a thing in like 10 years.
I don't see
Just
America being a thing in 10 years.
I mean, exactly. And where the fuck else is anyone going to watch stand-up comedy but America? You think they could like, oh, I'm a truth teller. And it's like, no, you're not. You're an asshole on a stage that's 3 feet higher up than the rest of us.
You literally have brain problems.
Yeah.
You're not telling the truth about shit.
I'm thinking like, you know, Conor O'Malley, great, does great stand-up sets. But also you see Conor O'Malley, he's not like doing stand-up sets. He's just doing performances. He's doing one-man shows.
He's making art.
He's not getting up there being like, today my bitch wife. I was in the parking lot earlier and I saw a woman.
I was walking down the street the other day and airline food, blah, 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 blah.
But, you know, maybe we'll get our version. Maybe we'll get the YouTube's Joker someday.
Mm-hmm.
About an aspiring video essayist who transitions online.
Well, we're the ones that gotta make that.
Yeah, the people's
Yo,
it kind of is the original People's Joker. When you think about it.
I'm gonna cut that out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bleep that name.
Just the People's extended bleep, and then I am gonna cut that out.
Yeah. But yeah, we gotta make that movie. Everybody has to join our Patreon so that we can have the funding to make the People's Patreon.
Movie. The People's Patreon. The Patrons joke.
The Patrons Joker! Wow.
I will say, very strange to not have any involvement with Joker's trick for this movie.
Oh,
even though I can kind of get it, because like, shout out. I actually don't know if they would want their username said on here, so I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
I had to think about it. I was like, they talk about it every now and then on like their main, but like, you know, they did kind of close that account by just making every image on it goatsy until they got banned.
Joker's trick. That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, if Saw is willing to work with Jigsaw quotes, I mean, come on.
Bring Joker's trick back for one last job.
Yeah. Oh, I guess the thing that I was really gonna say was, the thing that I came away with the first time I watched the movie was that, like, they keep bringing up canceled comedians.
Yeah, and like sometimes other, I think, directors. I guess Woody Allen's still a comedian. Yeah,
Woody Allen, like a comedy director or whatever. I just found it, like, fascinating that it was, like, trying to kind of find the contours of, like, what comedy is and isn't, I guess.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'm trying to remember all the ones they name. I know, obviously, Louis C.K. and Woody Allen.
Yeah, Louis C.K., Woody Allen, oh god, I swear there was like a third example.
No, I think there was like 4 or 5 that they name over the course. Like, where they say someone's name. There's kind of the extended bit where she forgets the name of she's like, misremembers that a word is the name of a song by the band from Say Anything.
Oh, that's right.
Misremembers that the guy from Say Anything got canceled. Which I thought was, like, a great bit, and I did like that she put those, like, notes up on the screen. I think it'll, like, anticipatory, like, I don't want to somehow accidentally get sued because people don't know that this is a joke and think that Say Anything got canceled, and then I get, like, an indirect lawsuit based on it. Yeah. Yeah, but also, I think it makes the joke so much better, is to just be like, not a song by them. No, they did not. Not canceled that we know of.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, it creates... It's such an offhand thing, the way that it gets, like, mentioned throughout the movie, but it creates such a background radiation of just, like... Do you see why some people become women? Do you see... how toxic masculinity is like fucking real, and like no, which I don't know. That's maybe reductive because women rape too. Blah blah blah. But I don't know. It really is a background radiation there that like comedy is used by people for untoward ends. Let's say.
It's also interesting because there was a character in the film that had to be like recast and edited out and like replaced with a different person because the original actor got Me Too'd.
That is true. Yeah.
I don't remember who the actor was. Their character was like a really minor background character, like probably like a really minor character for like 1 or 2 lines.
Yeah, it sucks that when you go into artistry and like the comedy scene and the music scene that like you are going to bump into that.
Yeah.
It is.
That you're there is inevitably somebody who is going to use their access to people that they get from making stuff to take advantage of people.
Yeah.
And there's even an argument that one could make about like does the position that an artist is placed in produce that behavior, or is the behavior like, or do people who want to produce that behavior pursue it?
It's so chicken and egg. For real. Yeah, I don't know, that was just definitely like an interesting texture of the movie that I wanted to comment on.
I think it makes sense too of just like how also like for like these sort of characters and this neurosis of like having to like constantly be thinking like, oh shit, is this thing I just referenced, like is that person or band or movie or whatever I just referenced, like do I have to do a disavowal?
Right. Because comedy can be kind of radioactive sometimes.
Yeah.
But then, there's nicer times, like when you're in the car chilling with your mom and hanging out and laughing.
I did also like the recurring bit that Mr. J has some bit about the Second Amendment that we never hear. But then he does it constantly, like just constantly is doing some Second Amendment related bit that we never get any indication on what it is. Like you just hear like the start of it or characters reference it.
The fact that all of his humor is like Marxist humor in a way that's like annoying as fuck is so fucking funny. People's Joker, it's really good, it's really funny. And, I think maybe we all have a little bit of the jokester in us, waiting to come out, so to speak.
Oh,
yeah, you see what I did there?
I see what you did there. I am excited for more mainstream, for lack of a way to put it, trans art.
Yeah,
to kind of move past the closet.
Yeah, well, we have another episode coming soon where I think we're going to be talking about that exact thing.
Oh, yeah. So stay tuned. Honestly, part of the problem with talking about People's Joker, and this is maybe my bigger critique of the film, is that there's kind of outside of, again, the creation process of it, which is, to be fair, I think an important thing. Like, I think art can, in fact, stand as a reflection of its own creation.
Right.
But I just don't think there's that much to talk about in the film.
Yeah, which is weird because it's so dense, but I don't know.
Right?
It's a pretty straightforward comedy.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward, coming of age, trans coming out, comedy, drama. Lorne Michaels gets eaten by a big plant.
It's awesome. And you see his Ken doll, like, upskirt, basically.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. There's some good use of intentionally like bad looking CGI animation.
It's awesome. It's so fucking good. The scene where it's just remaking that scene in Batman and Robin, where Nicole Kidman touches his George Clooney's weird nipples.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
So funny.
I do also like this the construction of the world of Gotham this film has, where Batman is both the like intellectual property in like our world, but also is just like a guy.
Yeah, I loved how it wasn't willing to compromise on that.
Yeah, like it's like the equivalent of like if I don't know, like fucking Elon Musk had like an animated series and like a TV show about him and like movies made about him.
Yeah. Quality film.
If you get a chance to see it in a room full of transsexuals,
that's the way to go.
That's the way to go.
Yeah.
I don't even know how cis people feel about this film. I'm curious.
Yeah, what could they possibly... I don't know.
Do you think they walk out being like, that's so hard? That must be so hard. That must be so hard.
It must be, oh babe, it must be really, really difficult being, being trans.
Being a Joker.
Being a Joker. The Joker's life is so troubled and so difficult. Let me massage your back, babe.
It really is like Kid Cudi said, day and night, the lonely Jokers.
Shut the fuck! Oh!
What would be your pick for better than the People's Joker?
Better...
Oh wait, sorry. Other direction. What would you say People's Joker is better than?
I would say People's Joker is a better movie than They/Them. First thing that came into my head.
That was the real start of the trans cinema moment.
Although They/Them has a really great scene where a character is like, goes up to another character and is like, you look just like a girl, in a really flirty way, and the character responds back very flirtily, no I don't. That's my favorite moment in They/Them.
That's a really good bit. That's how I flirt.
Just saying no.
Both
and.
Yeah, no and. Doing the no. Fuck yes and. I'm doing no and.
What did you think this movie was better than, Jay Bearhat?
I would say this is a better film than probably any of the trans movies that were made during the trans tipping point that got a mainstream release. So Ticked Off Trannies with Knives, Trans America.
Oh god.
What else came out in that era? Probably Boyhood. I haven't seen Boyhood in a minute.
I mean, Boyhood isn't about transness, but or wait. Are you thinking of something else?
Not Boyhood. Oh fuck, what is it called? Tomboy, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the 2011 one. Yeah.
Okay.
There's that like early trans tipping point circa era. A lot of that stuff stinks. And doesn't actually doesn't really have a lot to involve trans people in.
I watched Trans America with my mom before I came out, and I was like, damn, I can never come out.
Yes.
I'm fucked. I don't think this movie quite measures up to Funeral Parade of Roses. I think Funeral Parade of Roses is better. Now that's kind of like saying, I don't know, the most delicious Michelin star meal in the world is better than, a really awesome pizza.
Yeah. I think that's an appropriate metaphor. This is a good film. I don't find it nourishing.
Yeah.
In the same way that I would, and my pick would be, honestly, any of the three movies in Greg Araki's original trilogy.
Oh yes. Yeah, definitely.
Or honestly, even Gender Troublemakers. Which is especially because especially if you want to consider like impact, for lack of a way to put it, right. Context, like media. I think Gender Troublemakers is has a way much more outsized place in that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I definitely should. That's how I've been feeling lately. It's been a very silly, funny time. I have lots of jokes. I'm really into, hey, what did the What did the transsexual Harlequin say when she went into her therapist's office?
What?